So one other thing we wanted to discuss was, I guess the best way to put this is people don't know what they don't know. So I'll tell you some funny stuff. So when I was growing up, I literally believed that I always had this fascination for celebrities growing up, watching all the award shows. Now, listen, this is before the internet, anything, right? So you just had whatever was on TV. Watching like the Golden Globe Awards, the Oscars, like that type of stuff was cool to me growing up. Anything celebrity-based. Of course, I was a big Arnold Schwarzenegger fan, growing up, whatever. The Goonies. So I always just had a fascination. And I always believed that those people had like their own special stores that they went to that only like rich people or celebrities go to, but now that you're older and you realize, you're like, oh wow, they go to, Bed Bath & Beyond too, or Home Depot or Target. It's just Macy's, Saks Fifth Avenue, right. Whatever. Of course, they have special boutique stores, right? That are stuff that we'll never buy. Like we went to Burberry over the holidays because I bought someone a Burberry jacket, and that was really expensive. So yeah, that type of stuff, sure, specialty or higher end stuff exists, but I never knew that people I never knew of the world of how people make lots of money. I just never knew that, people flew around on private planes.
Exactly.
I didn't know that existed, that was a lifestyle. You just knew that there were wealthy people out there. You just thought it was so out of reach. And one thing and that's the thing with the internet. I think the internet has created a lot more millionaires and billionaires because it just makes business so much easier.
Right.
But people don't know what they don't know. Like, they don't realize that it's possible to be successful. They don't realize it's possible to make a lot of money. Some guy wrote an email in saying, this must be some sort of scam because it's impossible to make that much money.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about, man? Like, it's impossible to make $2 million a year? I mean, do you know how many people make more than me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just, it's really stupid thinking. It's just because they just don't know.
Right.
And, even if it comes down to all right, so here's one of the things. When people look to start a business like this, they usually ask their friends and family.
Mm-hmm.
But they're asking people that have never done it before.
Right.
But, it's who they know. So if you're from small town America and you're talking to people that you around town and people you're asking the wrong people. You're asking the people that live the lifestyle that you live, or that simple lifestyle of like me going to my dad and saying, hey Dad, what job should I do? Well, do the job, because he never owned his own business. Right. I understand the concept, but that's not his life. Mike, who came to us with Vegas, if you watched our Vegas video, he taught his son how to be just like him. So what does that mean? That means only go out to dinner if you have a coupon.
Mm-hmm.
That means only go Dutch on dates. It's very thinking the mindset of how do I save money, not make money.
Right.
Because you really can't do both.
No.
You can't be a saver and say, I'm going to save every penny I have, and then be a risk taker and go start a business and do other things. They don't work together. I'm not saying you can't do both. You can't save some money, whatever. But you can't be an ultra crazy saver guy, called Mr. Frugal,
right.
And like Mike, and then turn around and say, all right, I'm going to go start a business. The two don't merge.
Yeah, being a frugal guy and being an ultra risk taker, they're so opposite.
Yeah. So. And listen, I'm not saying to do one or the other, but, take them both in stride.
Right.
But you can't do both. So the point of all this is that people look at things, you got to open up your eyes. You got to do more research. You can't just assume because someone says something that it can never happen, because you'll be amazed on what's possible out there. I mean, I know so many people now that I've been doing this business for 3 years that make way more money. James met them.
Yeah.
Way more money than I do. Now these guys, they say to me like, "Why are you giving this information away?" No, right? Why? Like, I could go and jump in the auto finance industry and lead generation. I can go jump into student loan. I've had so many people come to me, "Hey, can you do this? Can you do that?" I could easily do that stuff and go back and just nobody know who I am and make a ton of money. But I gotta say, it's cool getting testimonials and people saying, oh my God, you changed my life. Oh my God, I quit my job. You helped my family out. I, got over the hump. Now I can buy new cars. It's just, it's just cool feeling to be able to do that and to have that effect on someone's life. So that's me. Of course, James is going through this himself.
Yeah, the other thing that you touched on, which is something that's insightful, obviously you should do your due diligence, you should do your homework, research. But what you mentioned is like when you go to your, let's call it circle of influence, friends, family, acquaintances, cousins that you know, and you're asking them a question about a business opportunity or about a business or how much money people really make, you're probably in the same circle of influence, so they're not going to know any better or worse than you do. A good question you always should ask people, this is always a funny thing. Ask somebody what's a lot of money. That's a very interesting question because you'll go to somebody and ask all different age groups. Ask somebody who's 20 years old. Ask somebody who's 16. Ask somebody who's 30, 40. And it doesn't matter, all walks of life. That exercise is just really funny because you'll get across, depending on people's backgrounds, people's, what they're exposed to, what's a lot of money. Because that's very subjective. It's just something that you might think is a lot of money. Just like, what's an expensive car? There's certain things that people just have in their mindset what is. And if you don't know what else there is out there, it's just ridiculous. Even here's a good example. My middle son's really into collecting like little Matchbox cars and stuff. And, I love Ferraris and I love Lamborghinis, things like that. And I thought those are really expensive car, which they are. Then he says, Dad, you ever hear of a Pagani? And I was like, I never heard of a Pagani. He had this little Matchbox car that said Pagani. He's like, this car's like, I don't know, $5 million. I was like, no way. I looked that up, man. That thing's expensive. It was like $5 million. But again, there's a perfect example where my circle or my world was like, oh, a Lambo's the most expensive car out there. No, there's a lot more collectibles and things like that. But here's something where, since I didn't know of this Pagani, look it up.
So what, Bugatti?
It's a P. It's like this other car.
Really?
Because I've heard of Bugatti. That's what I said to him. It's something with a P. Maybe I'm saying it wrong, but it's like Pagani or something. And it's like, it's a really cool looking car. Like the side view mirrors are really out there. It's a really low car. They only make like, I don't know how many hundred. It's insane. But yeah, and that goes back to, if you don't know, you don't know. And when you ask people those questions, they only have it based on what they know somebody makes. Yeah. And that's
Listen, if you wanted to go become a bodybuilder, do you ask your dad? Your mom, who's not a bodybuilder? You ask your friend who works at McDonald's, right? I mean, you ask the guy. The reason why, when LA Fitness have those guys working there, because, hey, come to us, we'll talk to you, we'll explain to it. James is not going to ask me how to lift weights. I'll ask James how to lift weights, right? But that's the way it works. So when it comes to career and business, I understand that you want to go to people you trust because you feel like they're going to give you the right information, but they don't know.
Right.
What they're telling you in their mind, they think it's correct.
Right.
And their mind is correct, what they're saying to you. Yes,
True.
Because that's all they know. So I'll give you a quick story, and I think I've told the story before. This guy, Jim Estel, who I sold the business to back in 2010, one of the first investors in BlackBerry. I mean, the guy's hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, done another 100 investments, and he's an angel investor. So we're doing a prepaid debit card company at the time, and I'm in my cubicle. Jim comes up to me, and he starts talking to me, and he goes, so what happens if someone wants to put 50 grand on one of these prepaid debit cards? And I'm like, 50 grand, prepaid debit card? I'm like, Jim, you realize that these people lucky if they have $100 on them, right? I mean, you don't get a prepaid debit card because you have 50 grand laying around. It's called a bank account, right? So he looks at me and goes, oh yeah, I guess you're right. So this is somebody who, lives in a stratosphere where, hey, this is what he said to me one day. He goes, yeah, so I started doing day trading. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah, I just threw like $2 million in there. I'm like,
but see, that's his
right.
world,
That's his
right?
world.
Yeah.
So someone like me looking at that, I'm like, wow. I'm like, $2 million is thrown in an account that I could lose. I mean, not going to happen, right? How much money do you need to have to play with $2 million?
Exactly.
You don't have 2.5.
No.
You have like 100.
Yeah.
That's like me saying, hey, let me go take $2 grand and throw it into an account. When we went to Vegas, I spent $10,000. Now the other guys that came with us look at me like I'm fucking I like got 5 heads. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, dude, it's only 10 grand. So that's the difference, right? Where they, 10 grand, they may, they may only make, they don't make that much,
right.
Compared to me. So it's different. But I'm like, oh, what's the big deal? When it comes to a car, I spend $3,000 a month on cars. The average person would be like, now listen, I remember when I was 18 years old, 25 years old, I was like, oh my God, $300 a month on a car, it's a lot of money, let me figure out how to make it, right? Now I'm like, spend $3 grand on the cars, which isn't a lot of money if you compare me to, Bill Gates or, I'm not going to go that far with it. But, there's a lot of guys out there, like we know some guys that do, over 15 million a year in revenue in their business. And trust me, they spend more than I do. Like they're just laying out. There's a guy that I know through people. This guy has like 5 exotics lined up. He probably puts 10, 15, 20 grand a month into cars. It was like, whatever. So everyone's going to be a little different, but it doesn't mean you can't achieve it. It's just, we just look at it differently. So, what was the other thing I wanted to bring up? Totally forget now. But the whole point of this video is just to make people realize that it's possible.
Right.
There was a time where, to me, my first BMW, I had a 7 Series BMW, and it was a $976. No, I'm sorry, $1,178 a month.
Yeah.
When I thought, I'm like, oh my God. At the time, I was pulling in about 8 grand a month. So it was a decent, percentage, right? I had rent at the time, which is probably another 15. So my bills were probably 4 grand a month. So I had 4 grand extra, which when you're 26, it's a lot of money. So I'm like, all right, I'm doing well, and, let's see if I can make this go bigger. But that was my salary off the business. So but now when I look at it, I'm like, if I'm looking at cars like an Audi S8, which would be about $2,500 a month. James came with me to look at the Bentley Flying Spur, which would be about the same, about $3,000 a month. I'm like, all right, that's not too bad. And it's just when you really think about it, it's like, wow, that's a lot of money, And when you take a step back, but today in my life, I'm like, whatever, no big deal. So you just start to reach certain thresholds, right? And then like things just become easier. For me to go spend 20 grand a month to live, that's my monthly nut. It might even be 25 when you're all said and done. But when I was 26, it was only 3 grand a month. And obviously I wanted to make more and whatever. But it's just you just keep building on your career. But anyway.
Yeah.
It's a lot that we can talk about and try to explain certain things, but it's just we've had people say, what are the things that people have said to us? Some guy said to me once, I'm not going to spend that much money to start a business. I'd rather take my family out to dinner.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm like, listen, then you're clearly not an entrepreneur.
Exactly.
We'll just call you Mike. You're Mike. Which, it's
okay,
fine. There's nothing
right.
wrong with that. But why are you even looking to start a business, right? I mean, there's a lot of fun things that people have said. God, we get them all the time. But anyway, anything else?
No. That's good, yeah.
All right, guys. We'll leave it at that. And we'll talk to you soon.